The glass shattered against the kitchen wall. A jagged scream of crystal splitting the silence. Red wine bled down the plaster, pooling on the hardwood like a crime scene. My hands trembled, not from the mess, but from the phone still clutched in my fist, its screen glowing with a text that carved a hole through my chest. She was out of it last night. Didn't know her own name. He made sure of it. My wife Lena sat across the table, her eyes wide, lips parted, but no words came. The air between us was thick, suffocating, as if the truth we'd both been dodging for months had finally clawed its way into the open. I'd sensed it for weeks, something off, like a melody played on a broken string. Lena's late nights at the firm, her new perfume, sharp and unfamiliar. The way her laughter felt rehearsed when she talked about her boss, Victor. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her ambition, to my own paranoia. But the text from her coworker, Claire, wasn't paranoia. It was a blade, slicing through the fragile trust we'd built over 10 years. Victor had drugged her. He'd taken her to some hotel after a client dinner, and she hadn't even known where she was. My stomach churned, acid rising as I pictured her vulnerable, lost while I'd been home, oblivious, scrolling through emails. "Lena," I said, my voice low, jagged. "What happened last night?" Her hands twisted in her lap, fingers knotting like she could strangle the question. I don't know," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I remember the dinner, the wine, then nothing. I woke up in my hotel room alone. I thought I'd just had too much to drink." Her eyes, usually bright with defiance, were glassy, pleading. I swear I didn't know. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But doubt coiled in my gut like a snake. Why hadn't she told me she felt off? Why had she laughed off my questions about Victor's late-night meetings? I sank into the chair, the wood creaking under my weight, and stared at the wine-stained wall. The room smelled of fermented grapes and betrayal, the kind that lingers in your bones. The next morning, I drove to Victor's office. The city blurred past, neon signs flickering in the dawn, horns blaring. The pulse of a world that didn't care about my unraveling life. His firm sat in a glass tower, all sharp edges and cold ambition. A monument to men like him who took what they wanted. I didn't have a plan, just a fire in my chest that burned hotter with every step across the marble lobby. His secretary, a young woman with nervous eyes, tried to stop me, but I pushed past, slamming his office door open. Victor leaned back in his leather chair, a smirk curling his lips. "Trouble at home, Ethan?" he said, his voice smooth as oil. He was older, mid-50s, with silver hair and the kind of charm that masked venom. I wanted to lunge across his desk, to feel his jaw crack under my fist, but I stood frozen, the text replaying in my mind. He made sure of it. "Did you touch her?" I growled, my voice barely human. His smirk didn't falter. "Careful, Ethan. Accusations like that can ruin a man. Or his marriage." He stood, adjusting his tie, and stepped closer. The room smelled of his cologne, sharp and invasive, like he'd marked the air itself. "Lena's a star. She knows how to play the game. Maybe you should ask her what she wanted." I left his office shaking, his words burrowing into me like splinters. Was Lena complicit? Had she known? The questions gnawed at me as I drove home. The city's hum a dull roar in my ears. Lena was waiting, her face pale, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked small, fragile, not the fierce woman who'd argued with me over breakfast just days ago. "Did you see him?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, unable to meet her eyes. "He didn't deny it," I said. "But he implied you wanted it." Her gasp was sharp, like I'd slapped her. "You think I'd let him?" Tears spilled down her cheeks, and she grabbed my shirt, her fingers digging into the fabric. "Ethan, I swear I didn't know. I'd never." Her voice broke, and she collapsed against me, sobbing. I held her, but my arms felt stiff, my heart torn between love and suspicion. The truth was a shadow, slipping through my fingers. Days bled into weeks, each one heavier than the last. I couldn't sleep, haunted by images of Lena in that hotel room, of Victor's smug face. I started digging, quietly, obsessively. I hacked into Lena's work email, something I'd never thought I'd do, and found messages from Victor. Professional at first, then suggestive, then outright predatory. "Wear the red dress tonight. It'll impress the clients. You owe me for that promotion, Lena." My blood boiled. But worse were her replies. Polite, evasive, never encouraging but never shutting him down. Why hadn't she told me? Was she protecting her career? Or me? I confronted Claire, the co-worker who'd sent the text. We met in a dimly lit cafe, the kind with chipped mugs and the hum of secrets. She fidgeted, her nails tapping the table, her eyes darting to the door. He's done it before, she whispered. Not just Lena. Others. He picks women he can control, drugs them, makes them think it's their fault. Her voice trembled, and I saw fear in her eyes, but also guilt. I should have warned her sooner. Why didn't you? I snapped, louder than I meant. She flinched. Because I was scared. He's powerful, Ethan. He ruins people. Her words fueled my rage, but they also cracked something inside me. Lena wasn't the only victim, but she was mine to protect. Or avenge. The line blurred as I sat in our dark living room. Lena asleep upstairs, her breathing uneven, haunted. I couldn't let Victor walk away. But what could I do? Call the police? No proof. Confront him again? He'd laugh. So I did something I never thought I'd be capable of. I played his game. I started with his allies. His business partner, Greg, was easy. Too much whiskey at a networking event, and he spilled Victor's secrets. Shady deals, coerce favors. I recorded it. His daughter, Elise, was harder. She was 22, sharp, but lonely, craving her father's approval. I met her at a charity gala, played the sympathetic ear, and let her talk. She didn't know about Lena, but she knew her father's habits. I didn't sleep with her, despite the story's title. I couldn't cross that line, but I let her think I might, just enough to get her to slip me his private emails. Each move felt like a betrayal of who I was, but the deeper I went, the more I saw Victor's empire for what it was. A house of cards built on fear. The final blow came at his annual gala. A glittering affair in a penthouse overlooking the city. Lena didn't want to go, but I insisted. I needed her to see. I'd leaked Greg's recording to a rival firm, sent Elise's emails to a journalist. As Victor gave his speech, his phone buzzed with notifications. His face paled, his voice faltered. The room didn't notice, but I did. Lena did. She grabbed my hand, her grip tight, and whispered, "What did you do?" "Enough," I said, my voice steady for the first time in months. By morning, Victor's empire was crumbling, lawsuits, investigations, his family fracturing as Elise turned on him. Lena and I stood in our kitchen, the wine stains still faint on the wall. She looked at me, her eyes searching, and asked, "Did you do this for me, or for you?" I didn't answer. I didn't know. The truth was, I'd destroyed him, but I'd also destroyed a part of us. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal clean. And as I looked at her, I wondered if the man staring back was someone she could still love. Or if I'd become the monster I'd fought.